Everyone, this is Mrs. Jones. We are getting ready to take a look and analyze Act 1, Scene 2. Starts on page 25 of our text, and we are going to be going through this together. I'm going to keep you up to date on the page numbers and also breaking down some of the scene, explaining what's going on and giving you some key pointers. So make sure you have your book, that you are on page 25, and we are going to follow along with this. Please make sure that if you are struggling with this, that you are using this as an opportunity to take notes so that you can deepen your understanding of what's going on in this play. So this scene 2 of Act 1, it's the mechanicals that are coming into scene. Remember, they are a little bit different as far as how they speak. They're not nearly as rhythmic. They're meant to be humorous. They also use malpropisms throughout this, and that's intentional. That is where one word is used or phrase is used when another one should be in its place. And so we're going to be kind of talking about how this scene progresses and who tries to control this scene. So the instructions at the top of page 25 say, enter Quince the carpenter and Snug the joiner and Bottom the weaver and Flute the bellows mender and Snout the tinker and Starveling the tailor. So let's go ahead and get started with our Rice University version. All right, so when we discussed this in class, remember we talked about a lamentable comedy. Lamentable kind of means sad. So when we're talking about that, you would never have those two words together. So that is where Shakespeare is trying to use the words to play off of one another. So they are, besides that, Pyramus and Thisbe, what they're putting on as a play was actually a tragedy. The people died in the end. We remember when we read that prior to the break. And if you don't remember the Greek myth, Pyramus and Thisbe, please go back into your Google Classroom and locate that information. That will be very helpful for you. So going right ahead. So he says, my chief humor is for a tyrant. I don't know that humor would be the appropriate word for here. And if you remember from the what we watched for Pyramus and Thisbe, Pyramus was not a tyrant. Pyramus was an individual that was very much in love. So he is trying to turn this into something that it isn't, which is how Shakespeare is making these gentlemen look like fools. He's wanting them to be laughable. He's wanting them to not be believable. He wants them to be over the top. He wants us to find humor in the fact that they are making fun of everything that we know Pyramus and Thisbe is not. All right, and right here we are at the top of page 27. So basically, Bottom, who's our character here, is trying to put forth the fact that he thinks he's an awesome actor and he is doing everything over the top, which is further where Shakespeare is trying to make these gentlemen look like fools. All right, so again, Bottom is trying to take control of the scene. He's acting over the top. He also says he's going to speak in a monstrous little voice. Monstrous means one thing, little voice means another. Another one of our oxymorons that appears in this scene. And there's a power struggle going on. You can see Quince, the director, is trying to rein Bottom in, saying, no, you can't play these two parts. Bottom is absolutely convinced that he is such a good actor that he should take all of them on. All right, so when we talk about the Lions part, let's be realistic. Again, we're pointing out how these guys are somewhat foolish. The lion really wouldn't have much of a part except for maybe a roar here and there. We are actually on page 29. We're about to be on page 29. All right, so for this part, Quince is trying to quell Bottom's energy, and he's saying, and you should do it too terribly, meaning that he's trying to tell Bottom, you would do this so well. I can't possibly have you take the lion's role on as well because you would scare the women. So here is where he's taking control. Quint says, you're going to play no part but Pyramus. And then he lowers his voice and approaches Bottom and starts to kind of convince him that we really need you to focus on Pyramus. We don't want you to worry about any other roles, that we need your talents right there. Again, we're rehearsing obscenely and courageously. Obviously, he is not meaning obscenely, because obscenely probably made mistaken obscenely for seemly. And so basically, what they're meaning is they need to meet away from the public eye. So, as this wraps up, thinking about who controls this situation, Quince is the director of the play, the one that's giving the instructions, but it's very obvious that there's a power struggle between Quince and Bottom, and we need to kind of determine who ends up in control, who ends up controlling the scene. All right, and that ends this Act 1, Scene 2. So we did meet our comic relief, our mechanicals. And like I said, just be focusing on who is taking control of the situation. Notice what the power struggle was, and ultimately who ended up being in control of the scene.